Oh, oops. I forgot to plug my microphone in at all. Okay then. Hello, is it working? Properties, okay. Go back to here. Turn that back on. Hello. Yep, working there. Minimize that. Oops, not Warzone, not Warzone. Nope, not. Nope, hang on. Okay then. Oopsie. Okay then, I'll open it up here. Man, my microphone is actually quite quiet today. But anyway, copy link. Goeth into the Discord. Boom. Announcements. At everyone. Space. Oh, hang on. There we go. Okay then. Now real quick, go into here. Test. Oh, I see it on there. So if I go on here, yep, it's right there. Sweet. Nice. Okay then. Well, for those who are watching, greetings. No webcam today. Yeah, welcome to the stream of Doom and Gloom, where we're gonna average around 50 frames per second, which is entirely playable. But it's looking like crap because we are on, if you look down here, ultra low quality. So, I'm going to go ahead and read off the specs of this PC. I'd love to... I wonder, hang on. Is there like a way I can add a thing on here? Add... Ah, there we go. Add text. Okay, so the text. So I'm going to go ahead. Go into here. So we're going to start here. So i5 4570. Nice. Okay then. Now that I've got the... So we're actually gonna go ahead, change the font. That's pretty good. Okay then. Oops. Okay, so there we go. So those are the specs for the PC in question. I'm actually going to go ahead. Nah, that's enough. So yeah, that's the hardware we're running with. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and actually hop into a battle now. So we're gonna go ahead. Ooh, normal. Don't ask me again to battle. Look, we're at the regular color scheme. It's like I'm playing War Thunder on a PlayStation 2. Or maybe an Xbox 360. Vehicle quality. It's like a very early PS3 Xbox 360 game. I need to change the UI scale because it is way too big. Especially considering what I'm used to playing on. Okay, this is actually more playable than I was expecting on a piece of hardware with okay. No, I've not edited. I probably should have edited the controls earlier, but I did not. I did not do any editing of controls. Oh dear. Hello. Oh, I got artillery. Wham, 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 wham. Kill assist. Nice. Okay. Let's go ahead and pull out an aeroplane.
Attack the A point.
I probably should have edited the controls first. I need to go... So before next week, which we're going to be doing something... basically the same idea, but using a different PC. We're going to be using the PC, the first PC I bought brand new with my money, which was a laptop back in 2014, I believe it was. It was a Toshiba Satellite. It had 4 gigs of RAM, like a 1.2 gigahertz CPU, some form of AMD integrated graphics. I can't zoom in my I can't zoom because I don't have my control set up.
Attack the A point.
Okay, so building. Oh, I got 2 kills though. Okay, so because there's air up and I don't see any allied anti-air, I'm gonna go ahead and take anti-air now. By the way, it's been forever since I've used this AA, so please forgive me on whether or not I'm any good at it. Go ahead and call artillery down right there to help our friend out of his pickle.
Attention to the map.
They got him.
Attention to the designated grid zone. Cover me. Attention to the designated grid square. Attention to the designated grid square. Target.
Oh dear.
A little more effort and victory will be yours.
Got him. I'm out of ammo.
Excuse me. Back up. Need cover. Roger that.
Okay then. Ah. Okay then.
Let's keep the pressure on. Victory is close.
I'm doing better than I thought I would in this thing. Okay, sweet. Okay, where's this Panzer IV?
Attack the A point.
Got him. Oh my, there's so much stuff going on. I'm getting 22 frames per second. Oh dear. That sounded very expensive for their side. Got him. There's so much fire going on. The poor little graphics card has no RAM to... Oh my goodness. As long as I don't look at the fire, this is really good. Oh, there's something right in front of me!
Attention! Attention to the map! Attention to the map! Attention to the map! Attention to the designated grid zone! Attention to the map!
Yeah, as long as I'm not looking at something, a lot of burning things, this is very much playable. I've died 3 times now. One of them was my fault because I was dumb and put my plane straight into a building. Oh wow, I'm in first with 10 kills. Woohoo! Not bad. I'm gonna use the bathroom now. Okay then. Holy moly, that is a lot of goodies. Phew. I'm betting I'm getting some thermal throttling here. And yes, before you say anything, yes, it is. I am running it on Windows 11. Okay, so I need... Yes, MSI Afterburner. Okay, that's a little bit toasty if you ask me. But yeah. Ooh, new battle pass. I totally... Oh, it's an elephant. Okay, where's the first vehicle you can get? Is that it? It's not a... It can't be it. Okay, so the first vehicle you get... So there's a test drive for an airplane. The first vehicle available is a boat. A gosh darn boat. Here's the P-51. Or not P-51, it's the other thing. Here is the elephant. Wow, there's only 3 vehicles this go around. Huh. I guess that's fine. Okay. What's funny is the stream is averaging more frames per second than the game. That poor little Radeon 857. 8,570. You know what's funny is when I bought the machine, the thing said Radeon. Actually, hang on, this is a good map for the 75 mil. But anyway, oh, too late. Okay. Anyway, when I was looking at the machine online, it actually said it had an R7 250 graphics card. And when I downloaded the AMD drivers, it said, "Oh, you wanna download the R7 200 series graphics drivers system?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course I do. That's what I've got." And now the system's like, "Oh yeah, no, you're running on the dang AMD Radeon HD 7 or 8570 graphics card." I'm like, "Do what?" And sure enough, when I went onto the AMD website, that is exactly what I have in here. So, I don't think it was the,
Attention to the designated grid square.
got him. Anyway, I don't think the seller, was trying to... I don't think it was the seller's fault that it was the wrong graphics card than listed. Because I don't think he knew. I don't think he actually knew what the graphics card was. I think he assumed he knew what the graphics card was. Oh dear. Okay. You do not, sir. So it's my fault? No, I wouldn't say that either. I was expecting something worse. And besides, I bought the computer for the hard drive and then decided I'd use it for content. Also, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Now, this is not my usual content. If you've seen one of my streams before or seen one of my YouTube videos, usually I am running a system way, way, way superior to this. Usually I am running a Ryzen 5 5600, or not, no, sorry, 3600 with a Radeon RX 6600 XT graphics card. Oh, I missed. Kind of hard to hit something when you can't see it. Sausage launcher! Sorry, it's meatball launcher, not sausage. But anyway, I did got a crit on him. Okay, so now that I know where they are, I'm gonna go ahead and take an airplane. So, yeah, I bought this computer specifically to pull the hard drive, tinker around with some Windows settings, get the Windows on this machine running on a different machine, so I can sell that to a friend of mine who's in desperate need of a gaming machine. That other machine got a i7 7700, 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, and a R9 380 graphics card. So way superior to this thing. And originally I was just gonna pull the hard drive and be done with it, and do the settings and then be done with it. But then I decided, you know what, I think it'd be fun to actually do a video on this little guy. And so I went ahead and signed into all the settings. Okay, I'm not gonna go to M8. I'm not gonna bomb B. I'm actually gonna bomb this group of enemies right in here. Okay, apparently I missed them all because they moved and my allies do not know where the enemies actually are.
The enemy has captured most of the strategic zones.
Oh dear. So, and I think I will do a video on this little guy, on this machine later, after I do a few choice upgrades. AKA, I am going to pick up a 16 gig kit of DDR3 RAM off of... Does AMD play nice with the Intel? I've not had any problems with it. It's running perfectly fine.
Thank you very much.
I mean, the poor little graphics card is about to catch on fire. Hang on. Oh wait, crud. Okay, so that appears to be one setting that transferred over to this PC, which is my controls, the arrow keys being those settings.
Most of the zones are taken by the enemy.
Okay, I'm gonna spin around on this guy. This guy's mine. Oh, never mind, he's dead. And now I'm dead. What are your graphics settings? 0. It's ultra low quality. I use presets for the sake of when people who are not as technically inclined as I am, and I say that with a grain of salt because I have literally minimal knowledge about actually how to do something other than presets. Oh, he dropped his bomb, didn't he? Yep. Oh, that was a big boy. Okay. Since there's a lot of airplanes up, I'm gonna go ahead and take my anti-air. Yeah, the graphics settings are ultra low quality preset.
We're ahead of the enemy. Enemy forces have captured a zone. We need artillery support.
We got 2 allied planes coming in. Hello. I was just curious. I just upgraded my PC a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
We don't have the advantage anymore.
Well, that's good. Come on. By the way, I suck at AA. Well, depending on what you want to do with the PC, you can find some pretty good deals. Like, as it says in the title, I am playing on a $50 Craigslist PC. I literally got this little guy, and the specs are on the screen. I paid exactly $50 for this machine, and if War Thunder is all you want to do with it, it plays it, and averages, according to the benchmark I ran, it runs it at an average of 59 seconds, or frames per second. At ultra low quality.
We no longer have the advantage.
So the specific PC is a model of Dell Optiplex. Not one of the Dell Optiplexes, the big ones. This is one of the tiny ones that you have to buy a low profile card to use. So it's like you're limited on your choice of graphics cards. Someone got him.
The enemy is winning.
That's what I was before I upgraded. The Optiplex or the frames per second? you are correct that it can be hard to find computers at this price point that can run these things, but Dell Optiplexes are the most common you can find. For instance, there was there was a couple of streams ago where the viewer, or one of the viewers, had a budget of $70 for a War Thunder PC. And I went on eBay, scrolled for a little bit, and we found a Dell Optiplex for, oh my goodness, for $58.99. Ah, dead. Anyway. That's the setup you have now. The Dell Optiplex. I think I burnt my finger on something. That hurts real bad. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take out the M2 medium tank. Anyway, so yeah,
The enemy controls most of
a
the
Optiplex would be the setup you have is where I was. Oh, so you had an Optiplex. Okay. Oh yeah, the Mute Friends battles. Where? Oh, why did I do that? I can't remember why I chose to mute it. I know I had a good reason to.
We no longer have the advantage.
Well, similar. This match is not going as well as that first one did. That first one, we wrecked everything. So, next week's stream... Oh, yeah! When was that? When did I post that video? After this match, I'm gonna look it up. Because I can't remember how... That was... probably close to a year ago.
We need to put more pressure on the enemy. They're winning. I tell you, I'm struggling to keep
Phone, be quiet. My memory has been just all haywire the past few days. This whole week has been really rough. Not just for me, but for the whole family here, because...
Allied forces have captured a zone.
Okay. Running. I'm dead. Oh, not. Woohoo! That was close. He had assault fuse on. Yeah, the integrated graphics is not the best. I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. would I call the 8570 a upgrade to the integrated graphics? Debatable. I mean, you do get a higher average frames per second. But you do also have to make sure that your computer... Oh, actually, damn, no. My brain is just deep fried itself again. Anyway, yeah. Actually, now that I put some thought into it, yes, I would consider this a upgrade. Not much of an upgrade, but a upgrade. Plus, a graphics card... I need to look up the specs on the HD 8570, but the graphics card that the ad said was in this thing, which was a R7 250, compared to something like an RX 570 was actually... Bleh. Oh, he's behind me. Yep.
Train drives have been damaged. Allied forces have captured a zone.
Okay. But my wife and I wanted a new PC, so I used our tax return and built one. That is a very excellent idea. Okay, I'll let my ally deal with that guy. Because building a PC a lot of times is indeed cheaper than... Oh, I'm dead here. Than buying one. Depending on where you go, what parts you get, and what specs you want. Because you can get a half decent starting PC, like a Dell Optiplex, for pretty cheap. And I am going to die here, aren't I? Because there is a Panzer III shooting at me. Okay, I'm gonna call artillery on myself and hope my tank lives long enough to call it in. Anyway. Yep. That is exactly true. You can get exactly what you want and spend more money on things you want. I still play on Xbox and the graphics are even worse now because of all the updates on War Thunder. Ooh. Ouch.
The enemy has most of the strategic zones.
We put up a good fight, but it just wasn't good enough. Anyway, you still play it? Yeah. Yeah, that is one thing. That as the games get bigger and better and as updates come in, things will get harder to run. Like, for instance, when War Thunder first came out and came on the market, this machine that I have right here probably ran War Thunder like a complete and utter dream. And it's an original Xbox One too. Oh yes. Actually, I have a graphics card which is considered the equivalent to the graphics card in the original Xbox One. And you can get them for like $37 on eBay. I mean, they're dirt cheap. It's called the AMD FirePro W5000, and they're out of an Office desktop. You can't get them. Unfortunately, they don't come in low-profile versions. You're stuck with the full-size computer style. Now there are FirePro cards in smaller form factors, but I don't know the specs on those ones. The specs of the W5000 are the exact same number for number as the original Xbox One. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, where did I put my phone? real quick, since we're not in a battle, I'm actually going to go ahead and go and look up 7250 versus Radeon HD 8570. Okay then. So yeah. So looking at the specs, the user, my normal gaming rig, it is a Ryzen 5 50. Nope, sorry, that's my brother's CPU. My CPU is a 3600 Ryzen 5. My motherboard is a MSI B450 Pro Series. My graphics card is I can't remember the brand name of it, but it is a AMD RX 6600 XT. I run 32 gigs of RAM at 2733 megahertz, I believe. And I usually run War Thunder at high graphics, averaging 200 even frames per second. So it is a massive upgrade. Granted, I spent on just the graphics card alone of my regular gaming rig, I spent a whole... Yes, it is a lot of RAM, because what's funny is I didn't put that much RAM in it because I wanted to play War Thunder and give more RAM to War Thunder. No, it's because I wanted to dedicate a whole 12 gigs of RAM to Minecraft. Because at the time I played, or the time I built this machine, I played equal parts Minecraft to War Thunder, and I wanted to use some shaders and other stuff that are RAM heavy. And so I wanted to dedicate a whole 12 gigs of RAM specifically to Minecraft when I was playing Minecraft. And if you're only running 16 gigs of RAM, that leaves you 2 gigabytes of RAM to do other stuff on the PC. So I just went ahead and dropped 32 gigs of RAM in there just to call it even. Yeah, but as I was saying a minute ago, the R7 250 graphics card, which I thought was in this machine up until just now, or this morning, it is, for effective speed, it is 28% better. The average score of frames per second is 27% better. Overclock score is 28%. Value and sentiment, don't know, is a whole 302% better. Nice to have, it's 22% better. I'm going to eBay and look for cheap PCs now. Bye. Wait. So yeah. What you'd want to do not get one of the low profile ones. Wow, I didn't know Minecraft was so demanding. It's not necessarily demanding in its base form. So with Minecraft, you can actually go into, there's a special setting you can go into and you can dedicate more RAM to it. And so if you want to say you want to load 20 chunk or up to maximum chunk amount that you can load in a single sitting, you want to have more RAM. If you want to run a specific graphics mod that may not be necessarily graphical heavy, you want more RAM. There are certain things, certain computer functions that fall back on RAM. And so there'll be certain things you'll want to dedicate more RAM to get better frames per second. For instance, when I was the base Minecraft RAM for 1.18.2, the base dedicated RAM you get when you play that is 8 gigabytes. And when I was running all my graphics stuff, I was averaging around 30 frames per second, which is surprising because you think it's a bunch of blocks and it's not going to be that graphic demanding, but you add one like graphics mod and all of a sudden your graphics are cut into slivers. So I added more RAM, dedicated a whole 12 gigs of RAM to it, and I jumped to averaging 60 plus. Actually, I was actually averaging around 130 frames per second that one time. And that was with a shader. So yeah. 5 times. My brain just randomly decided to give me the answer. So I paid $50 for this machine, and I paid $450 for my graphics card. Because I bought it, I don't know how I managed it at that price in the middle of the computer shortage. So you know the whole 2020 graphics card shortage where everyone was selling things for overpriced. You would struggle to get a storming 1050 for under $400 at that point in time, and a 30 series graphics card would cost set you back like $2,000. Any 30 series graphics card at the time would set you back like $1,000 minimum. But I paid $450 for my graphics card, which is basically 5 times the amount I paid for this whole Dell Optiplex. And depending on where you live, you might be able to find an even better deal. Like, you might be able to find something with an actual Sherman. Ouch. But anyway, you might be able to find something with an actual gaming graphics card for dirt storming cheap. And then, wow, yeah, I heard that prices have come down a long ways when I got my graphics card. Yes, they have dropped. You can now get a 3600 or 30 series graphics card for almost base price. Well, you have to take into account of where I live, because prices will also change depending on the area you live in. So I live in Alaska, so everything is already way more expensive. Ouch. Don't know how I missed that. Oh, he's done what he's done. He's stolen my move and he's put a bunch of bushes on his tank. Yeah, we're losing this. We are losing this hard. Oh, come on. I got a 3060 for about 520. Oh, I shot over him. Oh, there he is. Hang on, dog one. Or it's not in. Barking at something. Big. this hard. Got his track. And I got killed by something.
The enemy is controlling most
Yeah, I really don't understand this match. Okay, well. Also, that's one thing I dislike about lower... Oh, that's a French Sherman. Never mind. I can't make that excuse right now. It's the French Sherman, not a American Sherman.
The enemy is winning. We've got to counterattack. We failed to acquire a target.
Oh, that was a Panzer IIIJ. Brilliant. About 520. Yes. Yeah. I think that's about what my brother paid when he built his PC. He built a PC. Well, originally he bought a PC back in like, what year was it? Like 2017, I believe, is when he bought the PC. It was an Asus pre-built. He found it at a pawn shop with a screen, with a matching screen, keyboard, and mouse. It was the whole shebang. Someone had just, like, a few years back, someone had bought this brand new Asus pre-built gaming PC with a 1050 graphics card, 8 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, i7 7700, so on and so forth, with the matching screen, keyboard, and mouse. And then after a while, they wanted an upgrade, but instead of putting new parts in it, they just pawned it. They just pawned it off. And then my brother bought it. He paid like, oh, I think $300 for the whole setup. And then about a year or so later, he upgraded the graphics card and power supply to a 1660 Ti graphics card. Then at the same time, he also got a I believe it was a 500 gig SSD installed, and had that set up as his boot device to make the system run a bit faster. Then, oh, I think it was December 2019. Dang, their loss. Yep. December of 2019, he found a guy selling a 3060, a GTX 3060 on Craigslist for about, I think it was $400. Like 400 exactly, if I remember correctly. He bought it.
Attention to the map.
We installed it along with a brand new power supply. And at that point in time, I was running a laptop, actually. It was a MSI Leopard, I believe, with a integrated 1650 graphics card and some of a form of, I think it was a Ryzen 5, or not Ryzen, a Intel Core i5 CPU and 16 gigs of RAM. Then, after a little bit of that, and by this time it was 2020, I decided I wanted to build a PC based around the leftover graphics card and power supply my brother left off with. Oh, I hit that. Don't know how I did that, but anyway.
The enemy has most of the strategic zone.
And so I did. I put on a... Oh dear. I went on Amazon and PC part picker, and I found the cheapest parts I could that were compatible with the 1660 Ti and the 400 watt power supply. Well, it's a 450 watt actually.
Most of the zones are under enemy's control. The enemy's getting closer to victory.
And after that, I went ahead and just basically put the system together and... Oh, I died. It was a BT-7. I couldn't even see him, let alone shoot at him. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take my, I guess that's one setting that came over with came over from account of my other PC. It was the controls for the rudder and or elevation and aileron control. But yeah, then little while later the prices start to drop on computer parts, and I upgraded my graphics card to the 6600 XT that I have in it now. And then one of our friends was like, man, my games are running really badly. I can't do jack diddly squat. It's like, I got the lowest graphics settings on Overwatch and Apex Legends, and I'm only getting 55 frames per second. I'm like, hey, I got this old 1660 Ti graphics card just sitting around. Let's see if it'll fit. So we brought his computer over from his house to ours.
Allied forces have captured a zone.
There we go, got him. And then we pulled his computer apart.
The enemy will win.
And we found that his graphics card was an R9 380 graphics card. And where's... Oh, he's coming for me. There he is. There he is. Hello there, Mr. Rank 1 French aircraft. And I went ahead and I did a straight up trade because I had a bunch of other old parts sitting around that I wanted to go ahead and put into a PC and sell. But it would be the parts I had would, the 1660 would be a huge overkill for the rest of the parts I had, and I'm dead. So I traded him the 1650 or 1660 for his R9 380, and
Allied forces have captured a zone.
yes, that is most certainly the case. I thought I had broken the RAM when I first installed RAM. When I installed RAM for the first time, I could have sworn I broke it because I heard a pop, and I was like, "Aw, crap." and then the machine fired on no problem. So, and then I started messing around with a bunch of other older machines that we got for free out of schools. They were running Windows XP and had Pentium 4 CPUs with 2 gigabytes or even a 1.5 gigabytes of RAM, so I wasn't afraid of breaking them, so I practiced with those a little bit, taking them apart, putting them back together. And then recently, well, after I traded the graphics card with my friend, my brother started having some problems with his machine. Like the CPU, graphics card, and all that jazz was not talking to each other properly. So, since my cat had actually knocked down his screen and broke it, like he had a nice screen, my cat broke into his room and knocked down the screen and shattered it. So he had to go to using a different screen that we had backup. Fidget, come here! Fidget! Fidget! Come on! Down! What are you? Some form of Doctor Who dog that can see the silence? Anyway. Oh, the CPU. The CPU is literally the scariest part of PC building. But yeah, as I was saying, so since my brother was fine with the screen he had, fine using the spare screen, and my cat knocked down his good screen and broke in it, I went ahead and I bought him a B550 motherboard and a brand spanking new Ryzen 5 5600X, which is actually double the power of my which is actually double the power of my current CPU. And we took and I also bought him a fresh kit of RAM, because he was still rocking he was rocking a mixed set of RAM. So he had one 8 gig stick DDR4 and then another 8 gig stick of DDR4 RAM, both of them running at the base speed of like 160 hertz or 1600 megahertz, which is the same thing that this machine's 2 4 gig sticks of RAM are running on, but that's because it's DDR3 and that's the base speed for DDR3. Actually, I think it's the max speed for DDR3. But and now we had this CPU, RAM, motherboard, and case just sitting here. I'm like, oh, I know. So I went to that pile of computer parts I had. I found a 600 watt power supply, that graphics card that I got from my friend, and I put together a PC out of it, out of the spare parts. Come here. What was I saying? Oh yeah. And I put together this PC out of these spare parts for a friend. Or, yeah, because a friend of ours wanted to play computer games, but he didn't have a PC at all. And after I put oh, these stupid 30 cals are useless! Or never mind, I got one of those. Screw. Anyway.
We no longer have the advantage.
that way, that way I can, that way I could sell this PC to our friend for pretty much dirt cheap. Which, if you look at how much I spent on it specifically, is $0.00, because they were all just spare. The whole machine was just built out of spare parts that were lying around and were not going to get used for a long time, or we're going to get sent to the recycling bin. But they were all still usable parts. They were old, but still functioning and usable. And then I was like, oh crud, it needs a hard drive and operating system. So I was like, how can I get around that? How can I do that without having to spend several $100s on a hard drive and a operating system?
Attack the A point.
And then I was just scrolling out through Facebook, and I saw this little Dell Optiplex running Windows 11 that you see before you now. So I bought it specifically for the 500 gig hard drive and Windows 11. Granted, there are some other stuff I'm going to have to do before I can actually get the machine running on Windows 11, and I may have to downgrade the machine to Windows 10 before I can transfer the hard drive out. And other than that, this system my friend's system is now ready for us to sell it to him. For, well, counting the fact that I spent $50 specifically on a machine with a hard drive and operating system, I can sell him this beat up old machine for $50, and it'll run basically anything he wants at low to medium frames. Still having bought Windows, I have free version. Oh, I'm gonna assume you meant haven't rather than having. So you're running. So basically, what you did is you bought the Windows installation, or you downloaded the Windows installation without installing or purchasing the Windows key. Which there is a website I've heard of that you can get a Windows key for dirt cheap. But I have not tried it out myself.
Attention to the map. Yes.
Oh no. Stop it. I'm gonna go ahead and sit here and repair. No, actually, it is not illegal, surprisingly. So what it does is there's going to be a watermark that says, oh, you're running on Windows X. And also there's going to be some Windows features that are not going to run on the PC without some there's a Russian tank over there. Oh, we lost. Anyway. So yeah, it is something you can do. Like, you can One thing I had to do for one of my computers is I had to go on the Microsoft website, take a thumbstick, download an OS image, then flash the image to the thumb drive so that I could plug the thumb drive into a PC and then install Windows 10 just like I would if I had went to Best Buy and purchased a Windows 10 installation kit. Granted, I've not used... No, it was Windows 11 for that machine. And I've not used the installation disk, the thumb drive I made, because I realized, oh, wait a minute. I hit this button and the computer will automatically just do it. Oh, I'm dumb. But anyway. Yeah, and it's perfectly legal. It'll just be less things are... Like, there'll be certain features that you'll not be able to use and so on and so forth. Or at least that's what I've heard. I do not know exactly what the features are, but yeah. Plus, downloading Windows onto having someone else do it, like at Best Buy, it'll set you back like, oh, if you have the Geek Squad membership, it's gonna cost you like $140 just for them to type in like a handful of numbers to get the code, which is like really, like, it's just like you can spend the same money on the installation disk and code and do it yourself. It's not that difficult. But anyway, ooh, toasty. The little machine is I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to open up Task Manager on the little machine, and we're going to go ahead and look at some of the temperatures. Wait, no, I can just use, not that, actually. MSI Afterburner would be better. So right now, our graphics card is at 60 degrees Celsius. That is toasty if I've ever heard it. So let's go ahead and go down to the CPU. CPU seems to be at a toasty 50 degrees Celsius. So that will explain why we're getting a drop in frames per second, is we're having thermal throttling is what it's called. Yeah, but the places that sell the key are like $20 and it's a little shady, especially when Microsoft sells it for $110. Yeah. That's why I have not done it myself. But there have been some tech YouTubers, like I think it was Linus Tech Tips did one where they were sponsored by a website. And then there was a couple other tech YouTubers that got sponsored by a website. It's like, get your Windows key for dirt cheap, and get an extra percentage off when you use code X for. Yeah, check the description in the link below. Check the link in the description below. Yada yada yada. But yeah, anyway, I'll be right back. So yeah, you do need to be careful about where you go for this stuff, and check on the what is the word? The authenticity of the website and product. So if it comes from someone like Linus Tech Tips, who's like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, tech advice YouTuber on the internet, then that is probably going to be a very not necessarily 100% trustworthy, but it's going to be a highly trustworthy webpage. Meanwhile, if you get it from someone who, say, has 2 subscribers on YouTube and knows jack diddly squat, then it's going to be very, very, very shady. We've been going... Oh, it's this map. It's this map. It's not... I mean, this is a really good map. But when it's mid-tier. If you're playing low-tier, it's going to take you half an hour to get to the... And you're driving a heavy tank, it's going to take you half an hour to get to the dang point. If you're playing high tiers, you're going to be... You're not even going to go for the points. You're just going to be sniping each other from the spawn points. Maybe advancing a little bit. Also, thank you for the follow. I just saw that. For some reason, my Streamlabs is broke, or OBS is broken, and it doesn't actually give a notification. It just gives me a little pop-up on the side of my screen. Not the stream screen. That'd be cooler if that was the case. It'd make it harder for me to miss. But it just gives me a little stream activity feed pop-up that is the size of a child's Lightning McQueen Band-Aid. Also, on maps like this, it takes you're running at, if you're maps like this on hardware like this, it takes absolutely not forever. It like, you cannot see the enemies from the distances that they're gonna see you at. Now, if I knew how to play a lot at the graphical settings, so I can have a higher distance of view, viewing distance, then I probably would. Also, I'm pretty sure there's no one coming for this point, enemy or ally, because there's literally nothing. Like, there's no allies on this side of the map, and I'm not seeing any enemies on the horizon. So I'm gonna go ahead and move to the point.
We are losing.
But yeah. So earlier you said you upgraded. Oh, that's why they were coming to our spawn point. That's why I couldn't see them. They were coming to our spawn.
Attention to the map.
Anyway. So now, one advantage, something I was going to mention earlier, is I'm actually running on 2 PCs. I always am. When it comes to live streaming and recording games, I'm literally always running on 2 PCs. Because I realized that I was letting my hardware get, when live streaming, I would go for too long and let my gaming setup get too hot. And I would get what I'm actually getting right now, which is thermal throttling on my gaming hardware, because I was letting my hardware get too hot due to the fact that I was not only playing the games but also recording or live streaming. So what I did is I looked for a machine that was small enough that I could just put on top of my gaming computer, like a mini PC that's tiny, and I'd be able to just set literally right on top of my gaming machine.
Captured most of the strategic zones.
And that little guy would handle my live streams and my recording software. And that is what I'm doing right now. I am running the system that my live streams always, the hardware I always run my live streams on. The streaming software is running on a little Lenovo ThinkCentre M700 Tiny with 8 gigabytes of DDR4 laptop RAM, and the CPU is a Core i7 6700T, if I remember the specs correctly. The machine has integrated Intel HD 310 integrated graphics, and actually now that I think about it, oh, that's a friendly. This is not, now that I think about it, this is not actually much of an improvement over the 310 integrated graphics. Because I was average, like, it's only a 10 frame per second improvement over the 310 integrated graphics. Because the average frames per second I was averaging on that thing was 45 at ultra low quality. I think the draw distance for tanks is the same, all settings, but not for trees and bushes. Otherwise, high-end PCs users would have a huge advantage, especially at high tiers. You're probably right. You are. Oh dear. Hello. He missed. Anyway, yeah, you're more than likely correct, actually, because that makes more sense than what I was saying.
Most of the zones are under control.
Also, I don't know who. I have no idea who killed that T-60 that killed me. Someone did. But anyway, so yeah, and yes, I downloaded War Thunder onto a computer that is worse than anything else on the market. But anyway, and both of these machines I have right here, especially the M700 Tiny, really surprised me on the performance of War Thunder. More so the integrated graphics on the M700 Tiny. But that doesn't need War Thunder on it, because it is literally just its entire purpose for me owning it is for me to have OBS and whatnot on, and all the applications on it to run my stream, and the games are handled by other computers. I am 100% certain that if I was running OBS, War Thunder, and all the other apps required for my live stream, if I was all running it on this machine, I'm betting I'd be averaging like 10-15 frames per second. But yeah. Plus the M700 Tiny, total I spent like, oh, let's see, M.2 SSD, 1 terabyte Samsung SSD, I bought the RAM, and also this. Basically, I bought the M700 as a bare bones kit, so it had no RAM, no CPU, no storage. It was just the motherboard, case, and power supply. So total on the M700, I think I spent good $150 to $200 on the M700 Tiny, and it performs pretty much the same as this thing does. But of course, this thing has a higher option for upgrades. For instance, I can actually put an actual full-size, or not full-size, but I can put an actual desktop graphics card in this thing. Meanwhile, the M700 cannot.
Enemy forces have captured that zone. Enemy forces have captured a zone.
There we go.
Tank has been destroyed.
Anyway. So, with this Dell Optiplex I have here, you can put a brand new low profile graphics card such as a Radeon RX 550 low profile card, or if you're so inclined, you can actually put in the brand new low profile RX 6400 low profile card by Sapphire. And that actually retails for a brand new, at this point in time, if you go on Newegg, exactly $160.
Keep it up.
Granted, according to the user specifications, it runs worse than a 3050 GTX or RTX 3050, and you'd be better off with a 1050 graphics card, or sorry, 1060 GTX graphics card if you want pure performance. But oh no. Sorry, Swordfish. You stinker.
have captured a zone.
Oh, I'm dead. I got him though. Anyway. But if you want to go with the, if you want to go NVIDIA rather than AMD, you also have some options. Granted, they're not going to be a brand new model like the RX 6400, but there are some options. For instance, you've got some really old ones, ranging from the GT 710, which they are selling brand new for like $70-$80. You also got the GT 730, which up until last year was probably one of the best budget graphics cards, because it still played modern games at playable frame rates for only basically for dirt cheap. But since they've dropped it from the driver support, and you have to use legacy drivers, which is for cards that don't have the support for any newer games. It will still play the games, but not as well as it used to. And then the next one is the GT 730, GT 1030, I think a GTX 1060, I'm gonna have to look it up, but there are some low-profile models, such as there are some by Zotac, others by MSI, and yeah. So I think the newest low-profile graphics card you can get from NVIDIA is the GTX 1650, which, believe me, is not a bad graphics card. Even to this day, it comes in most pre-built computers. Oh, we had 65 frames per second there! Got him. Anyway. The 1650 is still used in budget pre-built computers that you can get for like $600 from Best Buy. And it will run games really, really well if you have it set at the right settings, which is the case for most graphics cards. Goodness, man. They are completely wrecking us once again.
Requesting for artillery fire.
Go ahead and just drop Artie there.
We need to put more pressure on the enemy. They're winning.
Okay, I'm gonna start the cap, or the decap on this bad boy, and then I'm gonna run over to the A point and I'm gonna try to capture that.
Zones are captured.
Okay. So let's go ahead and decap this and then run. Actually, no. I'm gonna go ahead and try to cap it in its entirety. So what I'm gonna want to do is I'm gonna want to find a place that I can hide my butt. Oh dear, we're getting some frame drops. I think due to the fact that I am running out of time because I got a late start on the stream, and because the graphics card is clearly having some thermal throttling right now, seeing how there's nothing happening on the screen, but we're still averaging 20 frames per second.
We're controlling most of the zones.
I think this will be the last stream of last game of the stream, just so I don't burn out the poor little PC. And then drop Arnie down on that guy. So there's gonna be an enemy medium tank out here. I gotta be careful. Oh dear. Ah, bummer. Yes, that it was. So real quick, before we do end the stream, after this match, before we get off, after this match though, but before we get off, I am going to go ahead and send a link to my Discord so that we can continue to talk about PCs and you can see oh my goodness, it has just dropped to 15 frames per second, man. Anyway, because I do indeed actually have a Discord, and we lost. But hey, that was a close one. That was close. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. This PC. Open up this. Don't do that. Here we go. Open up that. Oh dear. Oh, dismiss. I don't need that. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead. Click here. Create invite. Copy. Close. Minimize. Go on here. Control V. Okay then. There we go. So go ahead and tell me if you can go ahead and click, if that is a clickable link in the chat so you can join the Discord. Because that would be awesome if you could join the Discord. Well, sweet, awesome. So there is a computer chat on my Discord. You can basically post most things computer related, like operating systems, hardwares, like YouTube videos about tech things, like Linus Tech Tips, gaming on Linux videos. Basically, if it's a computer, it's acceptable on the computer stuff chat. Including eBay links, like if you want to share, like, hey, there's this thing on eBay for dirt cheap, even though it should be really expensive, that's acceptable too. Because me and one of the other guys were sending eBay links so he could find himself a dirt cheap PC specifically to play War Thunder. And as we just proved, you can... Well, I didn't get it on eBay, but you can actually find a decent machine for $50 that will play games for... How long have we been going? Almost 2 hours. We've been streaming for 1 hour and 40 minutes at this point in time. So that is perfectly acceptable performance out of a computer at this price point. I am pleased with that. Next week, for the people who are still in chat, next week we are going to be doing a similar stream, but the computer is going to be different. Instead of using this little Dell Optiplex, we're going to be using the computer, the first computer that I bought with my money back in 2014. It is a Toshiba Satellite, the last model sold brand new of Toshiba Satellite laptop. Last time I used it, I had dropped an extra 4 gigs of RAM, equaling 8 gigs. Basically similar setup as this, but it's got integrated graphics and a really, really old CPU that runs at like 1.5 gigahertz. But just like today, down here underneath the tanks list and just above the view count will be the specs of my poor little Toshiba Satellite, which we will be conducting the same experiment on as this week, but it'll be next week. And with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Thank you for joining me, and I both hope and am really glad that y'all enjoyed me being bad at gaming and talking computers. Anyway, we'll see you next week. Have a good one, y'all.